الله أكبر الله أكبر.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Islamic Center at New York University podcast, coming to you straight from the heart of New York City. We're building an amazing Muslim community here at ICNYU where everyone is welcomed and respected no matter where you're from or where you're at. This is the place to be. So open your ears and your heart and come along with us on another life-changing journey. Bismillah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. ونشهد أن سيدنا مولانا محمدا عبده ورسوله. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the universe, the Master of the Day of Judgment. I bear witness and testimony to the oneness of Allah, to His magnificence, His omnipotence, His might, His glory, to His being the creator and sustainer of all things, the giver of life, the guider of hearts, the master of the Day of Judgment. And I bear witness to the fact that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a servant and final messenger. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and upon all those who choose to tread in his path until the last day. Islam as a religion is not just a system of do's and don'ts. But if we were to understand our tradition as something that was holistic and recognize how it is something that, subhanAllah, is so perfectly crafted to take into consideration each facet of us as an individual practitioner of this remarkable faith. And the foundational narration of our tradition that is known as the Hadith Jibra'il, where the angel Gabriel, peace be upon him, comes to instruct the Prophet ﷺ's companions about what this deen is about. And many of us likely know the hadith. If you don't, you can find it very easily in various texts, and even online you search the Hadith Jibra'il, the Hadith of Gabriel. But in the course of this narration, the angel Gabriel asked the Prophet ﷺ questions that the Prophet then subsequently answers. What is Islam? He asks him, and he tells him about the fundamental rituals and practices of this deen. What is Iman? And he speaks to him about the foundational theologies, the articles of faith. He asks him, what is Ihsan? And he gives him the answer that you worship Allah as if you can see Him. For although you cannot see Him, He sees you. And he asks him questions of the last hour, the end of time, and he gives the answer that the one who is asking knows as much as the one that is being asked. But if you're to trickle this down in terms of what this gives to us as practitioners of faith, that when he asks this question of ritual, what is Islam? That this religion, it gives you something to do. When he asks you about what is Iman, it gives you something to believe in. When he asks questions of what is Ihsan, it gives you something to embody. When he asks about the last hour, it's giving you something to get ready for. And our focus quite often on this last question is not something that becomes most prevalent. That when you live in a secular society, it's not secular in the sense that God is not present in the ways that we understand, or conversations are devoid of mentions of God. But the secularism that exists within this supremacist society, rooted in anti-blackness, is a secularism that wants you to believe and comes to a place of psychological shackling that says that this worldly existence is simply all that it is. That what's ahead of you is just this, and then there's nothing. But you can go through numerous hadith. You can look at pretty much every page of the Quran, and it talks to you about the reality that there's a world beyond this one. And you want to think about it in the context of just fundamental narration in our tradition. How are you getting ready for it? In the last few weeks, numerous members of our community have lost loved ones. They've transitioned from this world to the next. May Allah grant them peace and ease in their graves and make it a place of light and luminosity for them. May they be from amongst those when the angels come and ask them questions of what is your deen and who is your Lord and who is your Nabi, that they can answer without any hesitation that their deen is Islam and their Nabi is Muhammad and their Rabb is no one other than Allah. That from within it they are shown their place in the gardens of paradise. That their righteous deeds and actions become their best of companions in that place. But in understanding that even people who are not in our community, a good friend of mine by the name of Mu'adh al-Nas, may Allah grant him peace, passed away just days ago in his mid-30s. It creates an opportunity for reflection. That there's not a determination of the individual to say, now I'm ready to go, the way that our theology posits the prophets were asked by the angels, are you ready to leave this world or not? But whether you and I are ready for it or not, it's something that's just going to come. And there's an idea that necessitates us being people of this awareness, so that as we pass on things generationally, so too this is something that we pass on generationally as well. You are not a creature of the dunya, you are a creature of the akhirah. You were not made to be somebody who is subservient to materialistic existence, but you are supposed to be something that lives forever, and the idea that you live forever and how this world relates to it is what you do in this world will place a hold on where you will be in the world beyond this one. And may Allah make us people of Jannah. But you got to ask again and again, every day when you wake up, how am I getting ready for it? That if this was the moment that it came, what would that look like for me? And not in a way that is self-deprecating, but an empowering sense of contemplation. A notion that says that each one of us is so uniquely, individually special that we have entire books that are written about us, whether we are conscious of it or not. You play a choice, though, of what's going to fill those pages. And there's a duality now to this reflection that is not just about what is it that I am readying myself for, but for those who have left, what is it that I am doing to contribute to them as they leave from this worldly existence? The hadith is very clear on this, that when someone leaves from this world, all of their deeds are cut off. They just stop, with the exception of 3. A sadaqah jariyah, charity that is ongoing, knowledge that is beneficial, something that you taught somebody that was good and they're acting upon it in continuity, and a believing child that prays on your behalf after you leave from this world. The preparation for what comes next is in a place where you can be strategic with it. But you can also understand this through the prism of, I'm what's left behind for somebody else. Regardless of how old you are sitting in this gathering at this moment, whether you are a young child, an infancy, and these concepts are things that you can grapple with or not, or you are the eldest of the elders in this room. And may Allah make us a community that honors the rights of our elders. But being in a place where you can think about this, that if you're here, there was somebody that came before you. And a mechanism when you are in a state of loss quite often that seeks to understand, well, what can I do? Is rooted in this idea of just doing as a norm, as an action. Can we have people move up? Can you come close? There's a lot of gaps and people are going to be filling the space. So if there's any carpet in front of you, I'd appreciate it that it gets filled up. So the particulars of this hadith, what do we reflect upon? A sadaqah jariyah, an ongoing charity. that you are now in this world. You and I exist in this moment. You have people whose names you know that nobody else knows. You can look in the hadith, and the Prophet ﷺ, he gives us this indication that you can do acts of benefit for those who are beloved to you. The Prophet goes on Hajj, he slaughters 100 animals with the intention that they are a means of benefit for those who have faith in his prophethood in that moment, those who have passed and those who will come. That includes you. He has a companion by the name of Abu Talha radiallahu anhu, whose mother passes away, and he encourages him to give a garden that he owns as a sadaqah jariyah, as a charity on behalf of his beloved deceased family member. The idea that you can play a role in the continuity of somebody's good deeds, rooted in the best of creation's words that say that my giving can be intended now to be a means of ongoing benefit for one who is beloved to me, but nobody else in this room might know that they ever existed because they never met them. Do you know my grandfather's name? Do you know my great-grandfather's name? I don't know most of your grandparents' names. And that's not meant to be something that deflects responsibility, but to be able to understand there are some people that you only know their names. You are the one that can do for them. Where I exist in this moment, I don't think about my religion as something that is private and personal, and what just limits it now to a place where I don't get up and do. But I reflect on this narration that I am what was left behind. What is it that I'm building on behalf of those in my own capacity? But as you also ponder the question of, am I ready for it? Don't miss out on opportunities to leave behind for yourselves these ongoing charities. To think about what it means to facilitate community, to think about what it means to build a well for those who don't have water, to contribute to the construction of a school, to do anything that will bear continuity of an act